Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you present here. This is your host, Tanya, and we also have Shivam as our co-host for this meet. Today, we have a very special guest, Ms. Shikha Nautiyal, for a very short interactive session on Build Your Professional Brand with LinkedIn. We welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of XLRI Executive PGDM Program of 21-22. We are very glad to have you here. Ms. Shikha Nautiyal is a leading expert in driving innovation and helping companies evolve rapidly by leveraging technology. She has worked as a senior strategy manager at Mahindra Rise and is currently the account director at LinkedIn. She joined the India launch team of LinkedIn Sales Solutions 4 years ago, creating a market for the buyer-centric virtual selling platform, and was recognized as APAC Rookie of the Year, LinkedIn Power Profile, and Global Experience Enthusiast for evangelizing LinkedIn. I'm absolutely delighted to host you, ma'am, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Tanya, for the introduction. All right, you guys. Hi, everybody. So Tanya just right now took my elevator pitch, so I don't have much to share with you now. But again, hi, everybody. So nice to meet all of you guys. Sarveshwar and I have been in touch to put together a wonderful session for you guys. I'll tell you a little bit about what you can expect from our conversation today. And if there's anything else you want to talk to me about, ranging from LinkedIn, personal branding, whatever it is, plug it into the chat and we'll find time to talk about it. So in terms of, quick introduction, she's already given it. I'm ex-Mahindra. I'm currently with LinkedIn. I'm with a business called LinkedIn Sales Solutions. And I essentially partner with sales and marketing leaders. I absolutely love talking about LinkedIn wherever I go. So I am the go-to person for running these sessions. But here's what I want to do with you guys today, because I understand that you come with a lot of wonderfully diverse experience, and I want to make sure we do justice to that. So here's what I'm going to do today. We're going to cover two sections. The first section is primarily going to be about, imagine us sitting in a meeting room when you are doing your job as a sales leader, as a marketing leader, HR leader, or even the head of the company. That is the kind of conversation I'm going to drive with you, where I'm going to tell you about what LinkedIn does and how it drives businesses forward. So that's going to set you up for success whenever you enter your roles after your placements are over, after the horrendous placement season. All the best for that. That's part one. Part two is going to be me talking to you about how you can leverage LinkedIn from an executive standpoint. Okay, so I understand you've been exposed to a certain set of sessions where you have been told about how to use the LinkedIn profile, how to go about networking and things like that. This is a very different take. So I'll tell you what is the context for that conversation. The context for that conversation is we actually get into meetings with CXOs and we help them use LinkedIn to create a brand for not just themselves, their organizations. So the take I'm going to run with you is that how you can leverage the platform to, for example, if you're an HR leader, how do you drive your employer brand forward, right? These kind of things is what I'm going to cover with you. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Guys, let me know if there is any technical glitch and we will get started. So here we go. Thought I'll kick off with a very cool product feature. So if you go to your LinkedIn mobile app and you go to the search bar and you click on the right, there is this QR code option. If you click on that and scan this slide, you'll be able to connect with me. This used to be a lot of fun when we used to be in meetings with customers and clients and a lot of interesting folks. But again, I think virtually, why not? It's always interesting to use new features. So this is something I thought I'll kick off with. And as I've already shared with you, we're going to talk to you about how you can use LinkedIn as an executive. I'll start off with a quote from Jeff. He's not the CEO anymore, but he's still part of the board, but we absolutely adore him and worship him. And here's what he has to say about why it's important for you to leverage this platform and the extent to which you can do it. So what he says is, whether or not you're a CEO, you have a network that you need to interact, inform, and influence. A lot of us actually stop at being present. We don't necessarily use it very strongly to interact or even inform our audience And I'll tell you a little bit more about what I mean by that. It's on the lines of thought leadership, on the lines of engaging with potential clients. These are things that you absolutely cannot miss. And that's exactly why I'm here to close that gap for you. So let's talk about how you can engage more effectively. To kick us off, I'll give you a perspective about LinkedIn's vision and mission in case you haven't heard it before. So we create economic opportunities for every member of the global workforce. That is the vision that drives everything that we do. And the mission that we're working towards is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. You guys must have an idea about how large this network is. It's ever growing. But the number that always astounds me is that every second we're adding 3 more members. Now, these numbers are great to see, but what does it mean to you as a potential executive? So I'll start by first telling you what is the expanse of the data that comprises what we call our economic graph. So we have 700 plus a million plus members. We have 50 million companies. Now, earlier when you were kicking off your careers, it would have been interesting for you to then, maybe look at jobs, understand what skills you need to gather, maybe even update your school and keep updated with the professional audience that is engaged. But all of this really changes when you start looking at it from a business perspective. What do these numbers mean to me if I'm a sales leader, if I'm a marketing leader, if I'm an HR leader? So there are two perspectives. One is that it can be used to grow your career, and the other is it can be used to grow your business. How do we help your businesses grow? We do this by putting together two things. The first is that we first help you by building teams, right? Because your organizations are as good as the talent that you have. So we have talent solutions. So to help you identify, pick the right talent, wonderful, brilliant folks like yourself. How do we connect you to the recruiters who need your talent? And learning solutions, so that once the talent is a part of the organization, how do you keep that talent constantly updated and upskilled so that they're able to deliver to the best of their potential? And then we have the aspect where we help you engage with customers. Now, when you step into your roles, what will be job number one? Job number one will be to make sure your stakeholders are completely satisfied. Who are your primary stakeholders? More often than not, it's going to be your shareholders. It's going to be people who are holding you accountable for your business. From that perspective, where does LinkedIn come into the picture? We come into the picture by helping you reach your potential customer. We have two lines of businesses that do that. One is marketing solutions, one is sales solutions. That's the business I'm part of. And I'll tell you a little bit more about what each one of those businesses do. Now, talent solutions, those of you folks who are building their capabilities as an HR leader, there are three things that LinkedIn can help you do. First is we help you in planning, bottoms up, creating your organizational pipeline, your organizational structure. Second is hiring, where we help you find and recruit the best talent. And third is developing, where you can keep a tab on your talent and nurture them, develop them over a period of time. Learning Solutions is a business that we recently added, and that is built with the idea of driving employee engagement. Those of you who end up becoming, folks who have a responsibility more on the HR side of things, you will understand and realize how difficult it has become to drive engagement virtually, right? So these are things we're actively trying to solve with Learning Solutions by closing critical skill gaps, especially some of you guys as you enter the tech space, right? The tech industry is known for having a deep challenge of not having the right kind of technically skilled people. How do you close those gaps, right? So that's again where Learning Solution comes in. And then from a business side, this is fairly simple to understand. Marketing solutions, sales solutions. Marketing solutions, as you can imagine, more driven towards the advertising side of business, where we help you deliver engaging experiences, creating your company brand, growing relationships, and helping your end customers realize the value that you have. So this is more from a B2B perspective, right? So if you are working with a B2B organization, then this is probably the go-to space for you to go ahead and create that brand awareness and driving that intent for your potential audience. And then you have finally sales solutions. Needless to say, I absolutely love this one because this is the business I've been part of for the past 4 years. And here is where we actually help you in strengthening customer relationships. We focus a lot on using insights, digital selling, And this has become fairly relevant in a virtual selling environment. And finally, of course, empowering sales teams. So some of you might come from experience where you are driving large client conversations as account managers, as sales managers. So this is something that you will again use from a B2B sales perspective. Now, just to give you a perspective, it's interesting to see that the kind of impact we have. So when some of you move on to your roles, you'll realize that in the HR side of things, Talent Solutions has created a very strong niche for itself. And you can see the numbers that 75% recruiters say that they are more successful by using Recruiter, and likewise for each one of our businesses. So this is just a brief overview about LinkedIn, about LinkedIn's businesses. I'm just going to take a very quick pause here and ask you guys if you have any questions related to this. If you don't, it's fine. I'm going to move on to the second part. I know I ran through that, but that's because the good stuff is later. So if I don't see any questions as of now, let me see if anybody is raising their hand. None of that either. That's fine. So let me go ahead and take you to the second part of the conversation, which is what was promised to you, which is all about how do you create an impact with your voice as an executive. Okay. All right. I'll go a bit slower now because this is the part that you might have more questions and you might want to learn a bit more. Feel free to raise your hand or put stuff into the chat box. So what is it that you can do with your profile? Because you are looking at LinkedIn now from an executive seat and not just as somebody who is using LinkedIn to find a job or just to be present there, you are now going to build a community. And one of the things that I would encourage you to think about is that what is that community going to look like for me? For example, if you are a CTO, and as a CTO, you are driving productivity as a theme, who are the people you want to be engaging with? Right. So I was recently talking to a senior IT head at a company called Salesforce, and they are heavily inclined towards talking to organizations that focus in sales and marketing effectiveness, sales productivity, and more than anything else in driving overall organizational effectiveness by creating a central repository. Now, when I was talking to those people, their intention was that they wanted to talk to organizations which have a similar theme, right? So it's important to know who are the people who have a shared vision as you, and therefore can you build them into your bake them into your community and start empowering it, right? So I want you to think about that whenever it is you take on your future roles, who are the kind of people you would want to build as part of your community. They could be people who are your peers, right? Your batchmates, employees of your organization, your reportees, your seniors, or even your customers. How can you take them forward and then start creating virtual conversations with them? It used to be something that was a nice to have, to be able to hold virtual engagements, hold virtual conversations, build networks digitally. But today, it is a complete must have, right? Especially for the for the foreseeable future, it would not be easy for you to get in touch with the kind of people that you want to if you are not leveraging your network smartly, right? And those are the stepping stones that you need to be very, very clear about. So we know that we want to build up this community, but we need to be clear about how we're going to build that community and what is our intention of doing it. The intention of building that community using our voice is going to be creating value for our business, right? So when I say creating value, it means being an example of what your organization stands for, right? So if you've been following a lot of leaders on the LinkedIn platform, you would have seen people talking about their organization's vision, how they are taking care of their employees in difficult times, what they are creating as part of their business, how are they adding value to these customers. These are the kind of things that you would need to talk about, and therefore you need to be clear about how is it I can drive additional value. The reason that you want to do this from a number perspective, theoretically, all of us know that this has to be done. But why, right? And how impactful can it be if I go ahead and do it? The first aspect is that if your organization is engaged on a platform like LinkedIn, putting information out there, your organization is going to be perceived as more competitive, right? I was recently talking to a young a young sales leader of a startup, and they've been recruited very recently from a B school, and I was talking to them about why, in spite of the fact that they may not be CEOs of the organization, why it is important for him to talk about what is their organization's take on their industry. So they are in the space of logistics technology, so how they are approaching that industry, what are the different things that they're doing, right? It's simply because when he is putting out information out there, there are 10 other customers and 10 other prospects and maybe a few competitors out there who are looking at what you're doing and building up a perception about you. And that's why it's important to have that voice. Otherwise, if you don't have that voice, you're missing, right? And of course, attracting top talent is a priority for any organization. So these are the key reasons why it would be a huge priority for you to constantly leverage this platform to use your voice and be visible. This is a pretty impactful line which says that your profile is your calling card. What do we mean by that? So imagine when you join your organization, there will be an email shout out for you saying that you've joined this profile. What is the first thing people are going to do? What is the first thing your customers are going to do when they hear about your recruitment? Let's say there's a new CHRO being hired, there's a new marketing head hired, so and so person. What is the first thing people do? People go to your LinkedIn profile and see what this person is about. What is it that they have done? Where you guys have the best in class education? Where have they studied from? What is it that they care about? This is where a lot of opportunity lies. Because if you are running your profile in a very vanilla manner, where you're simply mentioning your credentials in a bulletized format, saying these are the companies I've worked for, these are the education institutions I've been a part of, and that stops there, they don't really understand much more about you than what somebody can pick up from a CV. So how is it that you can actually use your profile to create a strong impact from day one, right? And that is by being able to tell your story in a few minutes. So it's important to not just put certain information on your profile that tells people about your accomplishments, but also for you to constantly share with them what is it that you care about the most. So for example, if you've joined a new organization and if you have a few ideas about what you want to do there, what is the reason driving your what is the reason why you're excited about being part of the company, what value you intend to add, talk about it, right? So that when people come to your profile, they're able to see it, because this is where they will actually try to learn more about you. Not everybody, and especially as senior as you become, not everybody is going to have the opportunity to get into a meeting room with you virtually or physically, so and be able to talk to you. So how is it that you can drive scaled impact, right? This is going to become a very, very critical part of that. Cultivating trust is something that you will be able to do by being present on the platform in a consistent manner. I would strongly encourage you to make sure that you take care about, don't worry about putting content out there, because your privacy is completely taken care of. So that's just the basic that you need to know. Now, how is it that you need to be connected with people? This is where a lot of my tips are going to come in. This is the aspect that you need to think about more deeply. A lot of people, when they talk to me about using LinkedIn, they simply say, I need to look at how do I find potential recruiters? How do I reach out to people in my current organization? But when you are a leader, the lens is also going to shift internally. And that's why we want you to think about it. For example, you would have noticed a lot of people are using LinkedIn platform to give shout outs to their team members, to give kudos to their team members, because these things matter a lot. Business is about people at the end of the day. So when you as a leader are present, you can't just be talking about business updates. You need to talk about the people in your company. If somebody's done a great job, give them a pat on the back, talk about them on LinkedIn. If you've hit an exciting milestone with your team, celebrate it on the platform. I'll tell you, LinkedIn has a policy whenever we work with a large size customer and we have their consent to talk about the success we've driven for them, we always talk about it on LinkedIn, right? Because it drives the message across, it amplifies the message, and it creates stronger trust. Plus, most importantly, what we love the most is when our leaders celebrate us on LinkedIn, right? When our managers, our leaders give us a shout out on the platform, it means so much more because people in my network can see it, right? So remember that when you are on this platform and thinking about this business as an executive, you need to think about the people that you're influencing on day one. That is the most important thing. And that's what we mean by connecting deeply with your employees. Don't forget to do this. Very, very important. This is a great example of this. Mohak is our SVP of engineering. And whenever there is a new product launch, product update, successful product that gets launched in the market, he always celebrates it on LinkedIn and gives due credit to the people who have gone into building that, right? So I thought that might be an interesting take for you. Building a community with your peers. Now, a lot of you will start attending networking events. I know that you must be missing out on it because it's not necessarily possible in a virtual setting. Although we try to close the gap with LinkedIn events as much as possible. If you haven't used it, please go ahead and use it. Get yourself signed up to events virtually. I'll give you an example. I've recently gotten very fascinating with the world of cloud computing, and to educate myself more about it and to build that community, I've been attending networking events in that. I would encourage you guys to start doing that. That's just a tip, that if you want to start building a community and you want to start finding peers, when I say peers, these are not people who are your colleagues. These are people who are similar to you in your industry. If you're an HR leader, these are parallel HR leaders. If you're a marketing leader of a Facebook, then this is a marketing leader or a marketing manager. This is a marketing manager or a marketing leader at a Google or a Twitter, right? So these are the things. How do you go about finding these people? How do you go about building that connect with them? One of the best examples I've seen is by co-attending events and then kind of looping them into conversations on your LinkedIn profile. I found this to be a very fairly effective method of building a community that not only amplifies your personal brand, but also goes ahead and expands the reach of your organization because you are representing your company. So in this previous example, if Melissa as our CMO is talking about what we do at LinkedIn and looping in a few other leaders, that is actually amplifying the message across different companies in our industry. Communicating with your customers. Now, this is something that you would have seen more examples of, but this is about personally driving value. So let me give you an example. Now, let's say you are responsible for driving sales for the mid-market tier of a company like LinkedIn Sales Solutions, and a customer sees immense success because of you. Let's say you didn't close that deal, but somebody in your team went ahead and closed that deal and brought that customer on board. You as a leader should take the initiative of celebrating that customer on LinkedIn, right? Because the message that you are driving there is that you are telling that customer that you were much more than a sale to us, right? You are actually important to more people in the organization than you know of, and we care about you. You are seen, you are visible, you are heard, you are important to us, right? So this is a very effective tactic that I have seen, that whenever organizations are onboarding clients, they're making sure that senior leaders also loop in on virtual conversations. So you as an executive need to think about how is it you can do that, not just from a sales context, but even from a larger partnership context. Now, talking about building influence. Now, this is something, influence and influencer is a word that has gotten terribly overused, I would say. But needless to say, there is something that needs to be done, especially as a business leader. And the way we contextualize it is in terms of building credibility as a thought leader. I'll take a pause here and just let you mull over the importance of the words that we've used here. Credibility and thought leader, right? So when we say thought leader, let's say you are, again, I'll pick up the example of one of my customers. You are heading sales or heading marketing for an organization that helps e-commerce companies go online with omni-channel retailing. Very specific example, specific because it's an actual client I'm thinking about right now. if you are somebody who represents an organization that is supposed to be helping your clients become effectively omni-channel, you need to be a trusted partner when it comes to your e-commerce experience with respect to your digital expertise. Now, how can you build your credibility virtually? This is where the importance of thought leadership comes in. Thought leadership isn't about flaunting your knowledge about something. It is about putting information out there in a manner about a topic that helps your customers trust you, that helps your end users trust you. Okay. So for example, the customer that I'm working with to help them build their thought leadership as an omni-channel partner of choice, we're working with them about how they can share their experiences and their tips on what are the best practices of becoming omni-channel, of driving that as a business line, of how they have helped companies overcome overcome the challenges that come with that kind of a digital transformation. So sharing your point of view does much more a job than amplifying your brand. It actually helps build credibility for you and by extension your organization. Offering insights drawn from your experience. Now, I'm not sure if you guys are following this piece called LinkedIn Voices. LinkedIn Voices, and there are a few other aspects. LinkedIn Spotlight, for example. We've actually done away with the LinkedIn Power Profile aspect. So now what we do is things like LinkedIn Spotlight, LinkedIn Voices. And what we do there is that we actually identify the most influential profiles. And how we measure that? That's a question I get a lot, Dashika. How do you become an influencer? We actually measure that by how deep and insightful is the content that you're sharing, how unique is it, and how much engagement is it driving. Now, engagement will only come if what you're sharing comes from pure experience. Now, if I ask you guys to think about your previous experience, I was chatting with some of you guys before the session started. Some of you come from TCS, some of you are from Oracle, whichever organizations you've worked in, you have gathered unique experiences that allow you to have a very unique take on the market. Now, let's say you are working with Oracle on the cloud business. You have the ability to talk about cloud computing. You have the ability to talk about what is the kind of disruption that is happening for organizations in this space. How are IT leaders handling this change, right? So the idea is that whatever your experience is, and wherever is it you're building a career as a salesperson, marketing person, tech person, you need to be able to tap into those experiences and start creating thought-provoking content that is insightful, so that when people look at your profile, the first thought that they should have is that this person knows their stuff, right? So I'll give you a small example. Again, I'm not trying to tell you that this is what best in class is, but I'll tell you why I have built my profile the way I've built it. Okay. So if you look at my profile, I don't talk much about my experiences as much as I talk about LinkedIn, right? Because the first impression that I want people to have about my profile is that if they talk to me, I can help them understand LinkedIn really well, right? For example, I've highlighted all of my articles which talk about how do you do virtual selling with Navigator, how do you build your profile, how do you use it for job seeking, all of that stuff. All of that goodness I have put right up and center on my profile, because that is exactly what I want people to have as a takeaway. That is the kind of content I am creating. I would encourage you to go ahead and create similar content whenever you take on your roles. It's not that complicated. It's just about taking that initiative. So if you go ahead and do this, it's actually going to help you drive a lot of additional value for an organization. Needless to say, I can give you my own example. The number of times people have come and told me that it's so amazing. So many members of my team at LinkedIn I have not met because they joined when the pandemic happened. But when they talk to me, they start picking up conversations based on the stuff I've mentioned here. So for example, because I'm a sales productivity professional, some of the things that I've talked about on my profile talk about using a particular sales methodology, which is called the Miller-Hyman sales methodology, and marrying that with sales intelligence, which is powered by sales intelligence, that is insights powered by AI. Now, how do people know that I am credible in that? How do people know that I can talk about that? Why do people think that I can come and help them with LinkedIn? Simply because the kind of articles that I have created or curated, Curating is an option. If you don't want to create content, you can curate some similar content. Is inclined towards a certain direction. So you want to be able to do the same thing. The reason you want to do that as a leader is because it will help people trust you more and enhance your reputation. So, while it's easy to think and assume that if you come from a name brand, if you're working with a LinkedIn or a Microsoft or a Google, people will trust you. It's not the case when you're talking to clients, right? You need to take every opportunity that you have to make sure that your team and you are also driving that brand image forward. That if your organization is known to be best in class in something, you yourself are also driving that message forward in your own capacity. So that's why it's important to have that kind of engagement. Connect with your followers and growing your influence. So what do we mean by that? So this is more on the lines of once you start building up a network that crosses, I would say, the threshold of around 5K odd followers. So I'm not saying that's a good number to have, but what that typically means is that your network is now going beyond your immediate network. And when we say immediate network, it's composed of your primary and secondary. Primary network being people you are directly in touch with, right? So people, for example, people you have studied with at Excel, people you have worked with in your previous organization, your classmates, your schoolmates, these kind of people you have worked with, your clients. These are your primary networks. But once you start going beyond those networks is when you actually start building up your influence. I'll give you an example of, let me actually make this more realistic for you and give you an example of a peer of mine. So Ankur is actually really good at this. So what he does is that while, if you can see his 20K followers, so what he does is that while he is an account director and he's helping companies grow, he actually picks up conversations through the chat of his articles, right? So if he's putting up a post, he will go ahead and pick up conversations with people who are engaging with him. The reason I'm giving you his example is actually one of the times he was actually able to pick up a conversation, talking about Kodak. He intentionally did this because Kodak was his customer. So he started talking about that organization and mentioned his 2 cents about digital transformation, right? And what happened was that a few people from that organization started commenting and talking to him about it. And he picked up those conversations, A, on the comment thread, and B, in the inbox, and that followed. And those people then became a part of his network. So the idea is that if you find that your content is reaching out to people, is reaching people that are beyond your network, you need to make an effort to stay engaged with them. Don't draw parallels with the whole Insta influencer thing. This is very different. This is about driving influence in a manner that means business for you, right? So in fact, we've even had instances when, for example, if one of us as a part of LinkedIn, we are talking about a product update, we've actually had competition come and comment on it and either encourage us for it or maybe even challenge us on it. The idea is that you want to pick up every conversation that you can have and therefore increase your influence. Because the end goal for me, why I'm doing this conversation with you guys, is that I feel LinkedIn is so undertapped. There is such a huge potential for you to look like absolute superstars and for you to look like experts on this platform, because we're not there in the office anymore. But I don't see enough people doing it. And that's exactly why I wanted to have this conversation with you guys and make you prepared for it. So let's talk about amplifying your brand. What do we mean by this? So again, like we've already talked about the aspect that you want to be engaged with your employees, you want to be engaged with your customers. So what is the kind of content you can put out there? Just a very quick view: announcing industry news, celebrating company milestones, sharing corporate presentations. These are, pretty basic things. Something that I found that's become quite interesting. Now, this you will have to do for your company page, not necessarily your own page, but this is about using LinkedIn Live, where you can actually create a broadcast for your company followers. This is something that is heavily untapped. So depending upon what you do and how you do it, you can actually leverage this. I've seen a few organizations that are in the space of sales and marketing automation, the likes of a CleverTap, that are actually using this really smartly to put content out there for the kind of audience that they want to be attracting. I've seen, for example, Sequoia Search using this to engage and recruit potential founders, right? So it's very interesting the way you want to use this. So I was recently talking to the latest cohort of Surge. I'm not sure if you guys know about Surge. Surge is a batch of bunch of startups that got funded by Sequoia as part of their early stage investments. Now, those organizations are actually very, very, these are the kind of companies that are very, very smart about how they extract value from anything and everything that is out there. So it was actually in conversation with them that I realized how effective the LinkedIn platform can be for them to quickly amplify their reach and celebrate milestones and even use LinkedIn Live. These are the kind of companies that are actually using this to, what they do is they do a LinkedIn Live and they bring in a customer and they talk about the customer, the success has seen. And what happens is that, let's say you're a Clever Tap and you have closed a customer called LinkedIn, right? If you're doing that, if you are running that conversation together, the network that gets amplified is actually the network of everyone who's a part of that conversation, right? So these are few examples, as in when you start working with the LinkedIn team, you'll understand more. But I just want to give you a heads up about what's out there for you. Finally, about accelerating business results. Now, as a sales professional, this is the thing that I feel creates direct revenue impact. I want to give you a sense of what you can do here. So some of you will find yourself in a position where you will be responsible for driving business forward. And then what is it can you do to drive relationships? At LinkedIn, we keep talking about the value of relationships, the value of having the value of leveraging your networks. And the way LinkedIn solves for it is actually LinkedIn has created solutions that leverage that data to help organizations at scale. For example, there is this tool which I primarily am responsible for, which is called Sales Navigator. It helps B2B sales professionals lift their decision maker connections. So when we say decision maker connections, it means that if you are, let's say, a B2B SaaS startup and you need to be pitching to marketing heads, the marketing head is the decision maker connection. Sales Navigator is built to leverage team link connections. So what we mean by that is that we actually look into your network and let's say you as a leader have the Excel network at your disposal. Your organization would be able to see your network and get a meeting. I cannot tell you the number of times I have leveraged my Simbi or my Microsoft or my LinkedIn network to get meetings with critical decision makers. And those are the kind of things that you will enable. So not only is this something that you will use as a sales professional or as a senior business development head, but these are things that you will facilitate for the people in your team. If you're heading a team of 10 and all of these 10 people need to make critical connections, you will be the person facilitating that. And that's something that's going to be made possible by this platform. The basic is that you need to make sure you're connected with the people who are part of your network. So please make sure that you connect with every single one person in your current organization, your current educational institution. It will come in super handy. I'll run through this part because I can imagine that you would be fairly familiar with this. In case you aren't, very quick 2 cents is that, a lot of people, especially when we were in B school, we would study our Kotlers, we would study all our course material, but we didn't necessarily feel that we were very in touch with the industry, right? Especially like some of you have experience, right? Most of you have experience. Fine, you are relevant from that perspective. But when you have taken time off and now you are completely invested in your education, do you have the ability to then stay on top of the industry that you want to be a part of? A lot of us, for example, invest in our education when we want to pivot industries, right? When we want to pivot from, let's say, IT to business, when we want to pivot from marketing to sales, when we want to go from a software engineering job to, let's say, a management job. So a lot of us are making those pivots, and while an education is great to help you understand things theoretically, what will really make a difference for you as you are entering a new industry or when you are making your mark there is if you keep tabs on industry and stay on top of your competition, right? So the way to do that is by making sure you're part of relevant groups and you are following your competitive organizations as well, not just the company you're a part of. So if you're working with Microsoft and you're responsible for Microsoft Cloud, you want to be following your GCPs, your Google Cloud Platform, and your AWSs, right? That's the idea. That is how you learn. That is how you stay on top of things. Finally, how can you become a brand that people trust and admire? So this is more from the perspective of a marketer. If you are responsible for the digital presence of your organization, right? Some of you will go ahead and build careers as a CMO, as a chief of customer engagement, right? How do you start thinking about LinkedIn then? So this is taking a step back from just your profile, but going ahead and looking at the company profile. So as you know that most of your company, every company will have a LinkedIn page. So the data that we've seen, that if you have a complete LinkedIn page, your company will get more weekly views. Now, if you specifically, if you're a company that is driving B2B business, this becomes a very strong source of lead generation. So if you are a potential marketer and you are potentially looking at B2B organizations, you need to be very aware about how is it that a LinkedIn page can be leveraged to the best of its ability. And this is the place that where you will not only be talking about what your company does, but also about your company's culture and values. The long-term impact of doing something like this, not just driving revenue, but also, as we said, is in terms of helping you attract the right kind of talent. The positions that you will take are going to push you where you will be responsible for many things, right? Especially if you join younger organizations. Like the number of times I've come across B schoolers when they join startups, especially, I've seen that their responsibilities are not just what their JD says, right? Their responsibilities go much beyond that. Their responsibility becomes attracting the right kind of talent and making sure that they are bringing in the right kind of partnerships for the company. And finally, encouraging continuous learning. So some of you might go on and build careers as L&D professionals, right? If you are specifically looking at learning and development, if you are focused on upskilling your team, a lot of organizations have actually double clicked on this in the previous year, because while upskilling is always a priority, it's actually become a manner of engagement as well. I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but there is this term that is doing the rounds on LinkedIn news, which is called the Great Resignation. So this is actually a time where a lot of companies are facing the challenge where the employees are feeling disconnected and disengaged. Now, if you are part of an organization's leadership, what can you do to solve for it, right? So while, of course, investing in your employees is a good step forward, investing in their learning is actually a manner in which you not only keep them engaged, but keep them productive. Because when you upskill them, they go back to their daily job reinvigorated, reskilled, and wanting to try newer things, and therefore being a part of your organization for a longer period of time. So therefore, this can also be a very interesting lever. If you guys, some of you guys might be using LinkedIn Premium. So LinkedIn Learning is something you would personally have access to. This is beyond that. This is about enabling your organization with LinkedIn Learning. The final thought here is about how can you leverage this platform from a holistic manner. The idea of you being present. Now, if you ask me that, Shikha, what does success look like if I need to be creating the right kind of influence on my LinkedIn profile? These are the words you should be thinking about. Are you inspiring people by sharing the kind of stories that make an impact? Are you empowering your team members by celebrating their successes? Are you listening to your customers? Are you listening to people who are talking about you and engaging back with them? And finally, are you appreciating things that are going right, people that are doing their jobs well? If you do all of this, it can actually help elevate you in a very, very big manner. I'm going to take 5 minutes to quickly run you through, these are the basics. I'm sure you already know it. But few things that I think, the one thing that I'll call out for you, which is the most important one to note, At this point, guys, I'll encourage you to go ahead and ask questions if there are any. But I want to leave you with a visual heat map. If you're thinking about your LinkedIn profile, I'm not going to tell you about, the basics, that this is your profile summary, this is your job title, here is where you put in information. All of that stuff is really, I'm sure you covered it. This is a visual heat map for you to know where do people pay the most attention. So if you want to put a lot of thought, like I'll tell you, for example, like I would have probably spent hours building up the content on my profile. You need to pay the most attention to three things. Number one is, what is your headline, right? So make sure your headline doesn't just say CEO of certain organization, head of sales of a certain organization. It needs to read how you are adding value to that company, because that is the first message people will take home. The second thing that people see is that what do you do at that organization? So what people are really trying to understand is how senior are you, and what is your current role in the company, and how can you add value to them. So make sure when you join your organization, don't mention here things like I do budgeting, I do this, I do that. Please mention what your company does. What does, if a potential client or a stakeholder is looking at your profile, will they be able to understand what your organization does at large? And finally, people will always look at your recent activity. So make sure your recent activity is aligned with what you stand for as a professional, is aligned with what your organization is engaged in, right? So I'm just going to I'm going to stop sharing now. I know I covered a lot. I will give you a quick recap. We talked about number one, how is it that LinkedIn aids businesses from a sales, marketing, hiring perspective. We then talked about what does LinkedIn do in terms of you being able to leverage it as an executive. And we finally closed off with a few comments on the LinkedIn profile. That's it for me. Now I'm just going to quickly go. Sarvesh and Shivam, in case there are any questions I've missed, please let me know. Hands that are raised that I've missed, let me know. If there are no questions,
People can start raising their hands.
you can ask me anything that I've not covered as well, in case everything was too boring or you've heard it before, done it before. You can go ahead and ask me other stuff as well.
So, ma'am, I have a question.
Yep.
So, you were saying like how businesses can use LinkedIn to show their presence in the platform. But coming from a background from TCS, I have seen that in my organizations, we as employees were not allowed to reveal a lot of information, like not even our clients and the type of work that we are doing. Like it's strictly a no-no. So how can companies like this show their presence in such a public platform?
All right. So that's an interesting example. In fact, the parallel that I can draw is that I was talking to the social media management team at BCG, and they have a similar challenge, right? Because they are not allowed to talk about their clients as well, right? And a lot of companies have that policy, and I understand where you're coming from. So the idea there is that the way those companies are leveraging LinkedIn and the executives are leveraging LinkedIn is that they are using what is already case studies that get created for public consumption. They are sharing those, and they're topping it up with their experiences, saying that this organization was phenomenal in adopting its digital transformation, making this happen, things like that. So you kind of add a flavor there and share a pre-existing content where you have sought customer consent, right? So that is one thing that you need to be careful about. The second way is in which those companies are looking at social media is that they are actually amplifying the company's brand messaging. So for example, if you as an employee you don't have the access to be able to directly ask that, hey, can I share this? Whatever is being published on your LinkedIn company page is something you can go ahead and amplify. So if not anything else, use that. So for example, if there is a success story of SAP with LinkedIn, I as an employee can definitely amplify that message and then give my 2 cents on it, right? So that's one thing that I like to do. Vipul, I can see your hand raised. You have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks,
Thank you
Tanya.
for insight, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Vipul.
Ma'am, what do you think where the LinkedIn is heading in next couple of years, ma'am?
Oh, wow. I didn't expect that question. So I'll tell you from a brand perspective, one of the things, then this is my take as an employee. is that one of the things that we've been working on a lot is that we've been trying to make our brand sound more human, right? So what I mean by that is in terms of a brand messaging, especially if you're following the LinkedIn page, you will see that we are talking a lot about people. We're talking about how things impact a lot of our members. Let me actually give you a more I would say direct answer to that question and tell you what are the things that we are working on, right? So if I were to give you a perspective, hang on, I'm just trying to pull up something interesting that I had prepared for you guys, which I thought might come up. Is that how are we, what are the key things we are working on from a product perspective? So one of the things that I actually already covered with you guys is that what is our aim? Our aim is to actually go ahead and create economic opportunity for our members. That vision has been guiding us and we continue working on it. So for example, let me talk to you. By the way, are you from a product background? What's your background exactly? I just want to understand the lens you might be curious of.
So basically, I am from construction industry. I have
We're
7
from
years of.
construction industry. Okay, so a lot of people who ask me this question actually come from a product management background. So I was wondering where that was, if that is something you were coming from. But see, we are the largest professional network, but we are actually working on developing products that ensure equal opportunities. So what happens is that a lot of time our products can be biased, right? And that's simply because of a representation bias. So the first thing that we always focus on other than talent is how can our products be more inclusive. So what I mean by that, it's a cross-functional effort where, you know, everyone comes together and make sure that certain social inequalities don't get reinforced. One of the examples I'll tell you, have you guys recently seen that on LinkedIn profiles, you can now add things like he/she, and you can actually mention the gender and the pronoun by which you'd like to be called. These were things that were not part of the platform that we're actually building now because we want the platform to be more inclusive, right? There are things like a network gap being present. So when we say a network gap is, for example, due to a lack of opportunity, if you don't have access to certain resources, can we solve for it by giving you access to certain additional features, right? So we try to build products that make sure, we try to build features that make sure there are no unintended consequences. So this gender thing is one example. The way we try to support communities in the way that is most impactful. So for example, one of the things that we saw, we're very reactive to what we see happening in the market. So last year, the biggest thing that we saw happening was the number of jobs that get lost, right? So then our problem became that how can we help solve for this? So the way in which we went ahead and solving for it as an organization is we focused all of our energies on reskilling those job seekers. So if you would have noticed, a lot of LinkedIn learning programs were created, curated, and made free for people who had lost their jobs and for any member whatsoever, right? So as part of the LinkedIn, as part of the Microsoft ecosystem, we actually launched a global skills initiative. So this is an example of a project that we took on in response to the macro environment. Having said that, you know, where we are headed as a business is always going to be aligned with our vision and mission. Probably a question better directed for maybe when our CTO or our CEO visits you. But I gave you my take from what I have learned from being a part of this organization. I hope that answers your question to some extent. Ankita,
Yes,
do you have a
ma'am.
question for me? Thank you, Vipul.
Yeah, I have. First of all, I would like to thank you for the energy you have taken this session with. Thank you so much. Also, I just have one question. What is the kind of team talent needed when you build and evolve as a sales operation team? How do you build your teams in the past, to get the best talent pool?
Okay, I need to double click on that question. So you're asking about building talent or hiring talent, or do you need to
How
clarify?
do you
But
plan to evolve your sales team and what kind of talent is needed when you are, when you're looking forward to it? What is the kind of talent you look for?
so that's a question. Like, I mean, I actually deep dive a lot into that question with sales leaders based on the nature of the organization, right? So it's a generic question that can't really be answered right off the top of the bat. I'll give you the most generic response, which is that what are the top skills one needs to look for. Now we publish that on a daily we publish that in a very periodic manner with our skills report, right? So the top skills of 2019, 2020, 2021 by function are visible for you to see. We actually deep dive into consulting based on what you are selling. So for example, when I am talking to an organization that is, let's say, a Microsoft partner in selling Dynamics, the kind of talent that they need to hire, it starts with where are you today. So for example, the team that I was working, one customer that I can think of, the biggest gap for them is that their team was only skilled on Microsoft cloud platform, and the team that team did not have the ability to sell Google cloud platform. So they actually needed to hire people with that technical ability. They needed to hire, they were headed as an organization from selling to mid markets to now focusing on SMB. They needed to hire people who have experience in that, right? So the idea about who to hire, how to hire, how to upskill is driven from the business goal. What does your business need to do? What are the skill gaps that exist, and therefore what do I need to hire for, right? So this is as a leader. I'm going to take another question, Ankita, now, but interim, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a very interesting link which shows you, it actually pulls up data from our platform to tell you that for any particular job, what are the top skills that are needed. I'm going to show that to you in a bit. I'm just pulling it up. I hope I answered your question to some extent. Very
Yes.
difficult question. My God, you guys are a tough audience. Is it important to put up a LinkedIn profile picture? You guys are awesome. I love you guys. You are my best audience so far. Okay. Thank you for that question. Vivid Jen, I see your face right up there. What's your question? Thanks,
So
Ankita.
hi Shikha, thank you for having me. So my question is, as in I want to know that does LinkedIn provide more leverage to write-ups as compared to pictographical images, or the mix of both? As in I want to know about the algorithm part, as in how does LinkedIn?
Ah, see the algo. Okay. So let me tell you something. Algo is something that will always be confidential, proprietary, can't talk about it, but I'll tell you the golden rule. In fact, if you guys follow me, I'm actually working with the LinkedIn editorial team, and I am creating a piece of content right now that is going to be designed towards LinkedIn for creators. If you follow LinkedIn for creators, you will be able to pick up a lot of tips. That's the word we use, LinkedIn for creators. The simple logic for our algo always is engagement. We don't care if you're putting up pictures. In fact, I'll give you a very nice, I used to always think ye to kehne ki baat hai, right? It does, you guys are just saying that it doesn't matter. Does adding a picture help? Yes. Do people like watching videos? Absolutely. So video content is something that is that does phenomenally well. So you'll see the likes of Ankur Warikoo using it aggressively, right? Because people love watching that. It's a very engaging format of content. Do we promote it? No. It's just that it gets a lot of engagement naturally, so it becomes better rated and those kind of things. So video is definitely. Will adding a picture make sure that you have additional views? No. It's just about how impactful or relevant the content you have created is to your audience. So it is a twofold thing. So for example, my followership is mostly a lot of B school audience because I do a lot of these sessions, right? So if my content is skewed towards how can somebody look for a job on LinkedIn, it's going to get more hits than anything else, right? Because it is relevant to an audience that I have curated. That is one example that I want to leave you with. So that I think that's the main answer I want to give you, that there is no skew for a particular kind of media type. That's something that's more relevant for maybe advertising platforms and things like that, but not necessarily from a creation. Are you trying to create content on LinkedIn, by the way? Is that something somewhere we are headed?
Yes, we are trying for the college, as in we are looking for that.
College. Oh, that's a different ball game altogether. I thought
Yes.
personally. Okay. For the college, hottest tip, best tip is that you guys do a lot of these guest lectures. Tag not just the person but the company. That's a missed opportunity, right? So when you guys put up my post, that was an opportunity for you to actually tag the LinkedIn page, so that all people who are following LinkedIn would have been able to see it potentially. And if other employees of LinkedIn start engaging with that content, your Excel page gets amplified, right? So that's how you use the network really, really smartly. So that's one example. There are a lot of tactical examples, but again, I would say, I'm not so sure how, but if you guys can use videos, that could be a very interesting way for you to start building up an audience. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you something that I was talking to you guys about. This is in fact something that you may want to use before placements. Okay. So this is something that is called LinkedIn Career Explorer. So what we do is, this is where we actually collect all the data on all the skills that are required for the jobs that are posted on LinkedIn. Okay. And then we have a tool that is able to tell you that, hey, if this is a job you're interested in, these are the skills that people are hiring for. And by the way, if you are using it from your LinkedIn profile, right? For example, if I am an account manager or I'm a BD account manager, LinkedIn, and I want to get a job in Bangalore. And Ankita, to your question, this could be something in the lines of saying that what if I am hiring for account manager role in Bangalore? What are the kind of skills I should look for? This is, these are the kind of responses we pull up. Plus, this is more interesting. Not only do we tell you job matches, we actually tell you that, hey, by the way, if you're trying to build a career, if Shikha, like this is linked to my LinkedIn profile. If you guys go and do this, it's going to show you different results. Shikha, if you want to become a VP of sales, these are the skills you need to build today. Okay. If you want to become a head of BD, these are the skills you need to build today. So this is a very, very exciting new tool that has come up. I'm just dropping the link to this in the chat box. Okay, so feel free to use this. This is essentially a ready answer to what skills are needed for what job. Another hot tip, whenever campus placements start happening and there's a job that you like that is out there, go and see the profiles of the people who are already in that job. For example, if you're seeing that there is a social, like there's a marketing manager of Google, go on LinkedIn and see the current JDs, see all the skills that are mentioned there, do a personal mind map of what is it that I know, what I don't know, what are the skills I might need to cover, so that you can actually go ahead and be very aware about what is it you bring as a strength and what is it that you might need to work on that you can call out for the recruiter in the interview itself. All right. So
just another question, if you'll allow me.
Of course, Vivid, I'd love to carry on. By the way, I'm free for the next 15 minutes. Yeah.
So thank you. So I have this another question that, like you said, that pick up the right audience for the right content. So how to select the right audience? You mean the correct usage of hashtags by that, and also what is the correct usage of hashtags by that? If you mean that.
So I'll tell you the correct usage of hashtags. So you do know that people can follow hashtags, right? Just the way they follow. So basically, I'll tell you something. So let me give you one tip about how I am using hashtags to make sure that my content reaches the right kind of people. Do you guys know this section of LinkedIn news? Are you familiar with this? Are you seeing my screen right now?
Yes.
So this is
Yes,
LinkedIn
we are.
news. Now, if you go to these stories, right? So if you just go here, if I open up one of the stories, you can actually see the kind of hashtags that have been put in a particular story. So this is where I can figure out what is the kind of content that is trending. So again, Vivid, I'm not answering your question from a perspective where you are managing the LinkedIn page, because it's a very narrow use case. Okay, I'm just broadening up your horizon that from a personal perspective, right? So for example, if I am sitting and I'm like, what do I write about that people want to read? These are the stories that are trending. Okay, I would love to talk about work from home. In fact, my latest post was about work from home. And I'll see, hey, what are the hashtags that people who have gotten featured are using? Do you see that's a smart workaround?
Correct.
Okay, so this is what I use. Again, there is no rule as to what works and what doesn't work. But what I have heard is that the more particular it is, the more pointed it is, the better the chances. So for example, if I think about your use case, hashtag be school, hashtag guest lecture, these kind of things. So you have to think about your audience. Who is it you're trying to attract? I would imagine as your page admin, I would want to attract recruiters, right? So what will I post? Will I post hashtag be school? No. I post what is my recruiter reading about? Hashtag campus branding, employee hashtag, right? They're hiring from campus. Hashtag employer brand. These kind of things. What is it that they care about? Who is that person who is sitting? Like I'll tell you, I was just talking to the Mahindra team that manages GMC hiring yesterday, right? I had some work with them. who manages it? It's what is their campus brand ambassador. That's their title. What are they talking about? What are they reading? Are they following my page? So Vivid, I would actually invite the campus brand ambassadors of each of these organizations to follow my page and be connected with them, right? Because you don't have to go and tell them your batch profile hai. They see what you guys are up to.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
Shikha, as
I
in,
think we should go become head of a team, this thing placement committee team now.
so like
Okay.
there are a lot of divided opinions as in what is the right time to post the content. So can you just nothing like
Doesn't
that?
matter. Doesn't matter. Only matters if it's a geo-specific thing. So I'm going to move on to other people because I want to make sure we speak to other folks as
Thank you,
well.
Shikha.
Vivek, feel free to carry the conversation with me on LinkedIn chat. You can see I'm very chatty, full of energy, no problem at all. Don't worry. Find me on LinkedIn chat. I'll help you out. I'd love to help you out. Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Definitely.
Over.
Thank you.
Ashika, have I spoken to you? Thanks, Vivek.
Hey, hi Shikha. Hi
We
once again.
spoke before the session, not right
Yes,
now.
yes,
Do you
just
have a
before the
question now?
session. Yes, I have. So regarding the LinkedIn marketing, we have seen how LinkedIn has grown over the past years. Like recently, even the new features and everything that has come up, there are a lot more opportunities available from the platform right now. So how would you say that LinkedIn is trying to recognize their audience's interest area, let's say? So
Are you trying to understand how targeting works?
Yeah. I mean, what is the data that LinkedIn depends on to understand their audience?
Okay, so again, I mean, if you want a quick visual, this is what it looks like. These are the primary titles that B2B companies will use for targeting. Which company was which company was it you were from? You mentioned Accenture, right? So depending upon who you are targeting. So for example, Accenture as an organization is targeting other IT companies for digital transformation projects, for IT delivery projects, right? It could be a host of things. So these are some of the variables that we use, which are essentially, I would say, demographics. So for example, it's not just about, if I give you an example, what is the kind of data you'll have on other aspects, right? Facebook and Google, it will be demographics in terms of age, experience, and things like that. For us, it's more about, what company are you a part of? What is the size of your organization? What's your title? What's your seniority? I hope this gives you some sense, but there is a lot more that goes on there. So it's again a very broad question. So, I think there are more than 30 variables. Now, if I look at it from a B2B seller perspective, there are more than 30 variables that we are targeting. So I'll tell you the most interesting one, which probably is not obvious, right? So you learn something from this conversation. It's something called as buyer intent alerts. So this is so unique. Now, this is not, there is actual data and then there's inferred data. Inferred data is the data that is most powerful. So if you look at buyer intent data, it means that, I'll give you your context. Which are the organizations that are interested in hiring from Excel? What if I could tell you that? That's buyer intent data. How do we find that out? We study that if Excel has a company page and Excel has a website, who are which organizations HR professionals are coming to your LinkedIn page, are coming to your website. That is called buyer intent alerts. Now this is a very advanced AI driven tool that you can use, and a demo. It's not like a simple thing ki age and company size and stuff like that, right? So a lot of things that we do, but this is one small example about how deep it can go. I hope that gives you a bit of a flavor. It's so nice to see your interest. I would encourage you. Oh, this is something exciting I have to tell you. We've actually recently launched certifications for LinkedIn marketing solutions. Do you guys know about that? It's super simple. It's literally just 2 hours of content. You guys are already studying so much. 2 hours is nothing. Okay. Go ahead and get certified. You'll know everything there is to know. Works? Isn't that a better answer? Okay. Who
Yes,
else is
I
there?
was about to ask about the skill set to go for LinkedIn marketing. So
So,
you covered it already.
So in fact, it's so interesting. I just was speaking to, I myself am in the middle of the certification. I haven't been able to finish it. So again, if you guys are thinking about a career with LinkedIn marketing solutions, the talent, if you have talent of, and this is my take, I'm not a hiring manager, so don't take my word, don't take it as the Bible. But a hint is that if you work with agencies, if you've worked on marketing campaigns, if you have experience of digital marketing, if you have experience of consulting, right, any kind of branding, you would be a great fit, right? So these are great fits. Having said that, some of the top performers in our company come from traditional TV background, right? People who work with Star. Can you imagine? So it's absolutely open. But yeah, I mean, you can always upskill yourself. Okay, thanks. Very, very good question, Ashika. You guys are like absolute rock stars. Okay. We are running short on time. I am going to close at 5:15. So, Siva Kami, did I read your name right?
Yes, yes. So I have a question about, hi, Shika. So I have a question about women leadership in LinkedIn. So can you brief us about that? So how many members are on board and women leadership there?
Okay, so I think our HR head would know the numbers right off the bat, but I can tell you two things. One stuff that I can officially say. So for sure, there is a very strong organizational message internally that we need to make sure there is a balance. My team is 50-50. My team is 50% women, right? My leadership, we have 4 leaders in the LinkedIn Sales Solutions business. 1 is a lady, 3 are men. We roll into an APAC head. The APAC head is a woman, is a lady. So in fact, a lot of our senior leadership positions are held by women. So it's a fantastic example of that. What does LinkedIn do to drive it? We are very, very focused on what we call ERGs, employee resource groups. So I actually was part of Women at LinkedIn, which is our arm of the business that ensures equal opportunity for women. And that is where we make an effort to, there's this hashtag that we all follow, which is hashtag women in tech. And we try to make sure that we create networking opportunities for each other and drive awareness, right? So it's not just about making sure women get extra opportunities. It's not that. It's about making sure we have equal opportunities and that we can make allies out of men. Yeah, that's the idea. So, I mean, there's a lot of work that happens, but I would say my personal experience is that I feel that the tech industry is very sensitized towards the idea of making sure there's the right gender balance, and B, in really, I would say, acting on it. Like, I don't think I've seen it enough in action in other organizations. So that's my take on it. I'm so passionate about that. I would love to speak to you more on that. Do one thing, you reach out to me. I'll put you in the direction of a couple of groups that might hold your interest. There's one group by Microsoft that I follow, which empowers women in tech. So I think you'll benefit from it. Okay, I think we finished the question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All
So
right.
now that we are nearing the end of the session, I would request Shivam to give the vote of thanks.
Hello, ma'am. It has been a great honor to host you today. On the behalf of XPDA VM batch of SRI, I would like to thank you for taking out your time for us, for enlightening us with the insights on building professional branding. You spoke about how we can use different features of LinkedIn to grow our network and leverage them. You also gave us some pro tips to target the right audience. Thank you for that. And we would love to hear from you again. Thank you, ma'am.
No. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, Shivam, for that. And thank you guys for sticking around for the whole duration. I'm not sure if it is compulsory or not, but I was so happy to see all of you guys here the whole time. Thank you for your questions. You're a super smart bunch. You're going to do so well. And I'll give you a promise that I give to everybody that I meet in these sessions. I personally love to enable careers whenever I can. I spoke with just a few of you in today's meeting, but I would be more than happy to be part of your network officially and help you out in any way that I can. If there's anything I can do for you in the future, if it's a referral, if you want to learn more about LinkedIn or whichever organization I go to next, feel free to call me a friend and make that happen, okay? All right. I'm so invested in your careers. I'm so happy that we did this. All the best to you guys. I'm going to sign off.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shika.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sarvesh,
Yes.
if possible, connect with her and ask that question.
Ah, Let me.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe connect with her in the video call and ask her that question.
Okay, right. It's recording now. We can deal with it later. Bye. Shiva, we can leave.